Your Rin TV on-demand video will begin shortly. Meanwhile, be sure to register for Rin TV alerts by clicking on the link below. With economic conditions forcing many companies out of business, risk managers are forced to consider more than natural catastrophes in management of supply chain risks. Recently, we spoke with Dr. Akshay Gupta from A.I.R's catastrophe risk engineering practice. He discussed predictive analytics and the A.I.R approach to modeling supply chain risk.
Some of the larger organizations, some of the forward-looking risk managers, they recognize that the best mitigation happens before something happens. And that is where the predictive analytics is coming in. So we are hearing more and more companies asking for the analytics, more detailed analytics, to really pinpoint where the risk is coming from and then what to do about it. And when you're doing it on an analytical basis, on a quantitative basis, that's the advantage of it. You can change the assumption and say, okay, let's assume I've mitigated this risk that you said was my primary risk driver. How much difference does it make? What does it cost me to do this? And overall, does it make sense for me to do that or not? The risks are actually increasing. They are getting more complex. And to really be in a position to do informed decision making, you need to have the quantitative underpinnings to make those decisions, to sell the solutions to your C-suite and so on. And so the need for these kinds of predictive analytics is only going to increase. We have developed a methodology by which we can lay out a framework for the supply chain for an organization, and then we can quantify probabilistically all the risk that is coming from each and every node on the network and keep it going through the entire network to come up with what we think is the best estimate of the true risk for the catastrophes for the supply chain. Since supply chains are global, you're looking at all the perils in the world where the entities might be affected. So you're looking at earthquakes, you're looking at floods, you're looking at typhoons, hurricanes, what have you, and there's a tremendous amount of data that we can leverage out of our catastrophe models for that purpose. Then comes the exposure data, which comes from the company or the organization, and that also is quite voluminous because you're not just looking at what exists at a particular location, you also have to look at how does that location interface with every other location on the supply chain network. And once you start drawing these things out, you would put a spider to shame because the web that is drawn is actually extremely complex. And then you have to simulate all the analyses. You really need to account for the uncertainties because there's a true cost to the uncertainty, and through the simulation you can account for these uncertainties to come up with the best estimate of the true risk.